Welcome back, everybody, to Santa Fe Fashion Week's YouTube channel and our fashion video podcast. I'm very excited to have Corey Burns on the line here. Corey, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, definitely. So I'm a designer originally born in New York, upstate Syracuse. I went to school at Syracuse University as well as Casanova College for fashion design, business management, as well as accounting. So I had a dual major with a specialty in accounting. A few years ago, I went to Paris as an exploration for my master's degree. I ended up staying there, worked for a few designers like Rick Owens, Otto Linger, worked Paris Fashion Week, got that
Wow.
whole spill. Super fun. Then I came back to New York. I came back to New York in October, and I'm working on my next collection that's coming out soon.
Very cool. So I was looking on your Instagram, it said you've been featured in Vogue. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So before I went to Paris, I was living in New York City right before, and I had a handbag. My handbag was doing really, really good. It's our hero product now, and we lead with that. It's one of the main things that's available to everyone to purchase. So I had the handbags. I have a connection with British Vogue. They featured it about 3 to 4 times within their magazine. I also had an opportunity to meet Kelly Rowland, and then she also has the Omega bag, which was in that collection, that pre-collection. So yeah, that was an amazing opportunity, life-changing, both meeting Kelly Rowland as well as being featured in Vogue, British Vogue so many times. So yeah.
That's very cool. So tell me a little bit. So are you selling directly to the consumer? Are you selling through boutiques, or what's your business model like?
Yeah, so we're moving into B2B. So our goal in the new year is to move into luxury department stores with our handbag, our hero product, and maybe a few other key items, but starting off slow. But at the moment, it's direct to consumer, so
Direct to
B2C.
consumer.
Yeah.
So as far as transitioning, are you calling on these stores yourself? Are you attending different trade shows? How are you tapping into that luxury market?
Yeah, so it's pretty hard to get into those markets. So I'm actually working with someone. I just feel like my time is best used in other parts of my business. I can't do everything. So if I needed to sell and if there was no one available, and if I didn't have the few resources to do that the first time, that I would definitely reach out myself, and that would be another hat that I would wear.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm currently working with someone, and we're aiming for the holiday season to move into luxury boutiques and then those department stores. It's pretty hard to do by yourself because it's a whole another project.
It is a whole nother project. So have you participated, like I go to Magic in Las Vegas, Nevada. Have you been to Magic or any of those big fashion trade shows at all?
Magic. I've never been to Magic, but I've been to Premiere. I think it's called Premiere. It's in Paris.
Okay.
I've been to that. That was quite fun for me, but I haven't been to any of the ones in Vegas. I think you did send me something about that one, or I've seen it somewhere, but I haven't been to that.
Yeah, I was just curious. So are you manufacturing in the United States? Are you manufacturing overseas, or what's that like for you?
So for my couture products, so the products that usually aren't available to the average person, it's usually directed towards celebrity clienteles or luxury clienteles. Those are made in Paris and based between Paris and New York. But I design there and I have a studio there to do that. For the handbags in our hero product, that's made in Milan. So it's made in Italy. And yeah, so we manufacture in Italy and / Paris, if you consider the samples.
Very nice. So it sounds like you made a lot of great contacts when you were in Europe then, as far as manufacturing and sourcing.
In Paris?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So when I was in Paris, I did learn a lot about that, but that was also in my curriculum. My master's in fashion design, you kind of explore that. And then my master's program was split between Paris as well as Florence, Italy. So I did have that experience when I was able to see the manufacturing side of things.
Very cool. So do you have any advice? I work with, I've worked with a lot of designers from Project Runway, for Santa Fe Fashion Week. And then Santa Fe Community College has a really great fashion program, but I've had designers from all over the country and actually Canada and Mexico participate. Any advice for young designers or even older designers that are looking to get into fashion as their second or third career?
Yes, just jump right in. I think it's really important to experience the different titles in fashion. So besides fashion designer, I've done a lot of other things. I've worked under fashion designers. I've worked production for shows. I've worked with like the camera crew and photography. So every single aspect you can think of. I've been a dresser for
Hmm.
um for these designers. So I've done just about everything. I've done the catering at a fashion show. So I've done
Okay.
literally every aspect of a fashion show or like just a fashion brand. I've done pattern making, of course, sampling. I've been the sampler. I've done all of that. So not just for yourself and your own brand, but to do that for another brand and experience that, I think is great, as well as just exploring other countries and what they have to offer in terms of manufacturing. Not to say to leave the US, I don't want to be that
Right. No,
person,
no, 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 no.
but just to explore and see what's out there in terms of quality is
Very cool.
important.
So early on, you've been doing a lot of stuff through social media, and you've touched upon that you have some celebrity clientele. Can you tell us how that came about?
Yes, definitely. So I'm trying to remember I think that's my biggest, my A-list, Kelly Rowland
Hmm.
A-list. Um, So I was actually working before I went to Paris for a designer, but I was also working in luxury retail. So I had two jobs at that time. And at the luxury retailer I was working, Kelly was performing like a private party for VIP. So I ran into her. I spoke with her for a little while. She liked the bag, swapped the bag out. I
Hmm.
made it really nice for her. Literally, I'm running down the store because I wanted to package it nicely for her and not just, hand it because I was wearing it that day. I always wear my product. I think that's important because
Hmm.
people will always ask questions if it's something unique, like, oh, hey, where'd you get that? And it was kind of that situation. So yeah, she saw it, but I didn't just want to give it to her. So on my lunch break, I'm literally running up and down Manhattan trying to look for her favorite colors for the box because I didn't have any of that. It was all at home.
Hmm.
So that's how that came about. It was a blessing. She's super sweet and super kind. She later the same night posted it on her story after she like unwrapped it, and I think that was so sweet.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a aha moment. I'm like, oh my gosh. But
That's
yeah,
that,
other than
that's
that,
awesome. And so your Instagram looks really great. So I see you have
thanks.
obviously a lot of models. And are you modeling some of your stuff? It looks like. Are you modeling some of your fashion?
I used to model a lot of it, but I wear so many hats now. I do want to get back into doing that and doing reels with actually wearing the product when my new handbag comes out in the fall for New
Mm-hmm.
York Fashion Week. I think that's important to show different styles. And since I was modeling before, I'll probably go back into it a little bit, but still
Mm-hmm.
working with other models because I love to do that. And I love to see other models grow too.
Very cool. So you've participated as far as showing your own collection in some fashion shows. Is that correct?
Yes. So I actually started doing fashion shows when I was an undergraduate. So while at Casanova College, I would venture outside of school. Like on the weekends, I would travel down to New York City if they had a show that I was invited to. And I would bring a collection that I was working on outside of the collection that I'm working on for school. So I'll be working
Mm-hmm.
on literally 3 to 4 collections at a time. But I would take that and go on the weekends and be back to class on Monday to work on that collection.
Wow.
So I did a lot of that in my undergraduate, and I feel like that prepared me just to know the flow of things of like the real world because it's different when you're in school and you're
Mm-hmm.
practicing. So yeah, so I did those shows up to now where I'm actually working on New York Fashion Week and participating in the bigger shows of the shows.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So any takeaways when you participate in fashion shows, the good, the bad, the evil that
Yeah.
maybe you weren't expecting or to prepare other designers for?
Yes. It's always overwhelming, but it's so fulfilling, if that makes sense. So overwhelming in a sense, like there's a lot to do, but not like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. So I would say in preparation, I would just say organization. That kind of takes the ease off of things. So my organization skills for shows are top notch now. So I don't really
Mm-hmm.
have that overwhelming feeling as I would when I was in, for example, undergrad, 17 years
Right.
old with 20 garments. But I would say definitely preparing and having like every detail down, and it makes it easy for your team that you're going to be working with. And it shows them how they're going to move. For example, when I did New York Fashion Week with one of the brands, so it was a brand that was hosting a set of designers. I noticed that no one really had the pins up. So the pins, well, call them different things or boards. So the boards would
Mm-hmm.
have a picture of the model and everything they're supposed to wear down to the detail. So if the designer, for example, if I walk away, they still know how it's supposed to look or what they should be doing. But I noticed that no one else had that. So that was huge for me. I say little things like that just because that's one of the things that you can do to make sure your team is on point, as well as having everything details. And it makes everything flow better. And then it's better energy rather than everyone rushing and figuring out what to do. So.